If you're an American and you don't want to pay taxes, I'm going to tell you what happens if you just stop. Let's say you're an entrepreneur and you get money in your account and you're like, you know what, this year I'm not going to pay any taxes. Well, here's what the IRS knows. You can go online and pull transcripts and actually see what they know, and you can see the transcripts. Usually, payment processors will send you a 1099-K, which will show how much basically sales you have, how much payments they processed on behalf of your company or on your own name. And the IRS will match that up with what you filed. If you never file, eventually they can file a substitute return. And if you never file, the statute of limitations stays open indefinitely. If you just file a zero return, then the IRS will probably eventually say that you didn't include these sales, and that just happened to a client recently. But if you don't get a 1099-K and you just get paid by wires or by cash and you don't file a tax return, the odds are the IRS will probably never contact you and ask for that money. I'm not saying you should do it, but probably nothing will happen. But if they do find you, they're going to hit you with the book and a ton of penalties. So I recommend you do it the right way and pay your taxes, but if you don't, good luck. If you've considered leaving your home country, opening an LLC, and not paying taxes, I think you're very smart. In the other video I just did, I talked about how you need to formally break residency with your country, and that's super important. But these are the best places that I would go to live and work if I were you. First, I'm gonna call out South America. I love Colombia and Panama. Uruguay is very safe, people love it there. And Chile and Peru are both great places as well, very safe, very nice places. I'd check out all of those places. In Europe, Portugal still has some tax incentives if you hurry up. Malta has some great incentives. We go a little bit south, we have Dubai is a great option. A lot of my clients move to Dubai, great business culture. A lot of people move to Turkey right now. They have good immigration programs available. Thailand is very popular. People love it going out there, but most of the major countries are gonna crush you with taxes. But that's what I would choose, and that's what I would do. Can you guess this tax haven? It's really easy to get residency at. They don't tax your foreign earnings. They have really low tax on earnings in the country, and it's really accessible throughout the whole world. Many of my clients are moving there. They're using US LLCs to operate with. They're not paying taxes on the profits of the LLCs in the US, and they're also not paying taxes in this country. Well, the answer is Paraguay. There's so many people moving there right now. They have great residency incentives. They have a very cheap cost of living. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do there. Some of the negatives would be that the electricity and the water is not super reliable in certain areas. It's very hot, but in general, I think it's awesome. I like the hot climates. I like paying no taxes. It's right in the middle of South America, so we have access to a lot of different countries. And I like that the residency process is not that expensive or complicated. So check out Paraguay if you're looking for a tax residency and you don't want to pay taxes. Is an LLC good for you? Well, I'll tell you right now. If you're a US citizen, having an LLC gives you limited liability protection. It gives you some professionalism. It makes you look like you know what you're doing because someone's paying a company and not just sending you money, and it helps you be more flexible for paying less taxes in the future. For a non-resident, for someone outside the US, it makes it easier to open a US bank account. You still don't have to pay taxes if you do all your work abroad, and it does the same as for the American. It gives you flexibility and it allows you to look more professional and be more set up and good to go. So if you want to have US bank accounts, have less legal risk, more legal liability protection, open an LLC for your business, whether you're in the US or abroad, it's a great option. We can always tax optimize it more in the future. So check it out, do that. If you live outside of the US and you use a US LLC to not pay taxes, here are 3 things that you absolutely cannot do if you want to continue not paying US taxes. Number 1, you cannot keep all your store inventory at your cousin's house. You cannot have a place of business in the US, and that would include a family member or someone who can make decisions on behalf of the company, and that would include keeping inventory at a personal friendly's house. What you should do is use a third-party fulfillment center and keep the inventory there and have a contract with them. Number 2, you cannot have someone physically in the US making decisions on behalf of your company. You can have salespeople in the US, you can have contractors in the US. Their operations, their activities have to be limited to just doing some work. They cannot make decisions or sign things on behalf of the company. And number 3 is having an actual place of business in the US. If you don't want to pay taxes in the US with your LLC, you should not have a storefront or a sole office that you rent out and you do business at. Having a mailing address or a registered agent is okay, but you cannot have a full address. So if you don't want to pay taxes, don't do those things. They asked me, what are the expenses I can deduct as a foreign LLC owner? Well, this is kind of a trick question, but I'll give you the answer. If you are outside of the US, you're a non-resident, and you have an LLC, and you're running your business through it, that's a great idea. I think you're really smart. But in terms of the expenses, you can deduct anything. In the US, you're not going to pay taxes on it. So you can call everything an expense in the US, and you're not going to pay taxes. Sure, we have to report everything in the correct manner, whether you're single or multi-member LLC, but it's not going to be heavily scrutinized. This matters more for where you're living and where you're paying taxes locally. So often cases, if you're living in a country that charges tax on your foreign LLC, you'll need to do your accounting and deduct according to those rules. However, if you're reporting in the US, it's really based on what you can justify as a business expense. So if you're traveling somewhere, it's a deduction. If you're traveling somewhere somewhere for business, it can be a deduction. If you are spending money to meet with clients, expense it. If you're buying equipment for work, an expense. Basically, anything that you spend to further advance your business is a business expense. If you're thinking about opening an LLC, you need to know the difference between a registered agent and a business address. So first of all, a business address is where you conduct your business, where the mail is going to go. And it's generally used for opening bank accounts. It's generally what you're gonna put on different applications. Now the registered agent address, it's a separate address listed on the state documents. And the registered agent is just where the service and process goes. So if someone sues your LLC, or if you're non-compliant with state fees, or if you're doing something wrong, they have to receive the mail. So the registered agent only generally receives formal, official, government, or legal mail. So if you just use your registered agent address, they're probably not gonna forward you your mail, but you need to have one, and it's good to pay a company that does it, because if you're not at the office every day of the year, all year, basically except for holidays, you could get a big fine for having yourself as a registered agent at not a real address. It's worth it to pay $25 to $100 to have a registered agent on your company and to know the difference.